All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Elevate your professional image, creating a portfolio site using GitHub Profile README. Thank you so much for those of you who are coming and who dropped your location and temperature. As I said, here in Florida, where I am, it is getting crazy hot these days, man. It is difficult. I'm blasting the AC. I'm hoping I don't go broke after I see this month's power bill. The tea looks good. All right. Thank you so much. I'm still waiting on my own tea. If you look at the back, I stole it from Ryan Swift. All right. Cool. So with that, I just want to remind everybody that make sure you check in. And let me actually go ahead and post the checking link so that you get your points. Okay, I'm getting it ready here. Check in at. Hello, Roshan. How are you? Armin, good to see you. Good to see you, everybody. And here is the checking link. All right, while you're checking in, let me introduce myself. For those of you who do not yet know me, I am Wei. I am a technical program associate here at MLH Fellowship. I use he, him pronouns. And a fun fact, if you don't already know, Wei is an official registered trademark with the USPTO. So make sure anytime you address me, you put the registered trademark symbol on it. Just kidding, you don't have to. I won't sue you. My socials are as follows: Wei Codes, and Wei Codes on Twitch, GitHub, Twitch, and Discord. All right. So next, I will go ahead and check in because I forgot to do it last GHW, and that was not good. I was really hoping for those bonus stickers. So let me go ahead and head over to our checking link, log in and check in. Well, let me just do it off screen since I have a separate account, separate Chrome profile set up for this. But be sure to register and check in so you get your points. All right. Yes. Cat Moid, you did it right. Sadly got an ad. Is it on Twitch? Oh, hello. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so once you're checked in, we can just go to the next slide here. And I just want to tell you a little bit about our session today. So for those of you who don't already know about this amazing feature that GitHub offers what's called a profile README feature. So anytime somebody goes to your GitHub profile, they will see a Markdown README that has your portfolio. So you can put anything in it, really, and you can showcase your work, you can showcase what you're doing, your personality, you can showcase like what music you like, what music you're listening to, what games you like, for example. So there are a lot of opportunities which we will explore in a little bit. By the end of the session, you will learn a number of things. So you will learn about Markdown. So if you haven't used Markdown before, this will be your chance to have a little quick start on it. You will learn about how to create a GitHub Profile Repo, and you'll learn about how to publish the repository using GitHub Pages to a website. And if you have your own domain, we will also teach you how to link your domain to it so that everything's published under your domain as well. Lastly, we'll learn about how to personalize your portfolio and how to use some advanced techniques in creating this GitHub README portfolio. All right, there are some very interesting and fun tips and tricks that I'm dying to show you. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in chat, and I would love to help you out. And yeah, let's take a look at some of the questions we have. Will you be able to take a look at our readme.md? The README will be public, so anytime you publish it, right, it will be accessible for everybody in the world. And I'd love to see it at the end of the session. All right, you love the app I made about battery percentage? Yes. You can actually do that using GitHub Actions, and you can pop it onto your portfolio as well if you'd really like. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the first step. The first thing I want to show you is how to create a GitHub Profile Repo. It is extremely easy. So first of all, we're going to just take a look at this README documentation. You don't have to read through this, but the gist is everybody has a GitHub username, correct? So what you need to do is create a repo using your GitHub username. That's all you need to do. So what you can do then is go to repo.new if you want to be fancy. You can also go to github.com and click the new plus icon on the top right and create a repo. So if you go to repo.new, or press the plus new repository button, you will see a page like this, create a new repository. All right. So let me know if you're here, and make sure you pick yourself as the owner. So this demo account I have is called Worker. So I'm going to name the repository Worker to match it up. But whatever GitHub username you have here, make sure you pop it in the repository name. And as you can see immediately here, GitHub tells me that it is a special repository that you can use to add a README to a GitHub profile, right? That tells me I typed it in right. Let's take a look in chat while everybody's getting this set up. All you have to do is to pick the repository name, match it up, and hit. You can hit add a README file. That will make things a little bit simpler. So make sure you check on this add a README file box and create. All right, hello, welcome, thanks for coming. All right, so everybody now should have a repository created. Please drop a thumbs up or like if you have done this before, or if you just complete this step. You don't have to redo this step if you've done it before. Okay, so we have a question here. Should I go to the settings? Not yet. You don't need to go to the settings at this step. So all you have to do is create the repo if you don't already have one. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for letting me know in chat. Shamari says, I have one. I want to learn how to make it better. Okay, perfect. You're at the right place. All right, cool. We'll just wait for a couple confirmations, and then we can get started with the next step. You want to make it appear in Google search suggestions? Yeah, that is possible. We'll discuss it in a little bit here. What name should be the repo name? So the repo name needs to match your GitHub username. So my GitHub username is Worker. So what you need to name so I need to name my repo Worker, but you can, make sure you match it up with yours. All right, ready for the next step. Perfect, awesome. So that's great. Let's go back to our slides. What is the next step? I don't even know, so let's take a look. Markdown. Okay, so the next thing we need to talk about is Markdown. For those of you who don't know Markdown is, just to put it very simply, Markdown is a syntax that lets you format text, and that is the language used on GitHub. So anytime you're typing out a README, you're typing out an issue, a pull request text, for example, you are using Markdown. And it's actually really easy to do. So we will only, look at some of the basic formatting and syntax for Markdown, just enough to get started. We'll look at some examples later on, but just to put it simply, you can see adding a hash symbol is bold, right? We can actually play with it. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to open an issue. And I will show you, like, you can put in the Markdown here. So I can put heading 1 with a 1 hash symbol, and click preview. You will see the text has become heading 1. Very similarly, you can do heading 2 and heading 3 like this. Another very useful section on this documentation page. Let me actually share this if I haven't already. Another very useful section here is styling text, right? So you can bold using 2 asterisks. You can italicize some text using 1 asterisk or 1 underscore. So those are 2 most common use cases. So let's try this. If we put bold text here and go to preview, it's not bold. But if we wrap it with 2 asterisks, it's now bold. Magic. If you're used to Discord, it's very similar, right? On Discord, you can also have access to a limited set of Markdown features, styling features, and one of which is bold. And just following the tutorial here, for italic, you can use 1 asterisk or underscore, just to keep it simple. I'm going to use underscore italic text like this. And if we go to preview, you will see the text being italicized. All right. And furthermore, you can do a lot more things with it. We won't be getting into all these different styles, but feel free to check out this page later on. I will share the link at the end as well to see what is possible. What are some formatting options that are possible in GitHub? This will be very useful for example, this is for code, ticks, coding code, 3 ticks, very similar to Discord once again. And you can add colors, links. The format for links is as follows, like this. I will just take a look here for you. So GitHub Pages using 1 bracket, square bracket, and using parentheses at the end with the link to the page. So yeah, don't feel overwhelmed if this is too much information. We won't be using a lot of these really, but this is very good information to have. All right, any questions, please drop them in chat. Let me take a look here. Can I turn down the music? For sure, thank you for letting me know. Let me know if that is good. Please leave me a message if it's still a little bit too loud. Perfect. Armin, maybe you need to go to YouTube. I don't know what's up with your Twitch, showing so many ads. Okay, so is everybody synced up with some basic markdowns we see here? Give me a thumbs up if you feel like you got this down. How do we start how do we start repos? Someone recently started, which repo gets started? That should be in your timeline. I can work with you after to see exactly where to see it. Okay, perfect. So now you know some basic Markdown. We'll get into some examples of portfolio sites that other people have created, and we can get some inspiration and ideas. And furthermore, we can steal from other people's repos, right? So I have a couple very cool resources here that I'd like to share with you. So the first one is a repo called GitHub Profile README. I will send the link in chat as well. And what this repo does is it compiles a list of cool developer README, profile READMEs for you to kind of see what's possible out there. And we'll just take a look at a few. All right, so this person has their name, some socials, blog posts, languages they work with, software. Here, actually, let me zoom in. Music, you know, what I was saying, and some GitHub stats. And let's just scroll down. You can feel free to take a look at them and see which ones you feel like catches your eye. All right, this is another one. We'll look at a few more. Looks like in this one, they used some badges to showcase their social and email and other accounts. And we'll just go down a few more. This person also showcases their social, tech stack, stats, etc., contribution graph. So this is just to give you an idea of what is possible, what other people are doing on their portfolio, on their GitHub profile sites, right? So if there's one that you like, please send them in chat, and I'd love to check it out. We'll pick one as a group, as a starting template for our portfolio site. So let me know which one you like the best. Oh, this one is pretty clean. So we kind of see a pattern, right? So typically there's a heading. Sometimes it's a heading text. Sometimes it's a heading graphic. And then there are badges showcasing socials. And then sometimes there's like an about section that talks about their experiences, and badges, more badges with their skills and technologies. And lastly, a lot of people like to put their GitHub stats onto their profile, which is makes a lot of sense since this is a GitHub profile README, right? Okay, so this is a very cool repo I wanted to show. And we have a question in chat, very good question. The question is, are the badges something they're earning or just posting? All right, very good question. So for most of them, they are just badges they're posting. You can create these badges using a number of different ways. There are two that are very popular. First one is called shields.io. Okay. Shields.io gives you the ability to create badges for your README. A lot of the open source projects actually use this, if you don't already know. So we can do things like social, right? And then you can go to maybe GitHub user stars. And you can see that this is a badge that actually updates live of all the stars across all the repositories that I have under my main GitHub account way, right? You can also showcase, I don't know, Twitter URL, right? You can pop in your Twitter URL here and it will generate badges for you. There are also static badges, which lets you customize the text. So you can put in anything you want really in the badge. You can pick the colors, icon, and shields.io will generate a badge for you. All right. Cool. So, I mean, we need to find a good example of a profile we want to model from, so that we have something to work off of. I'm still waiting on some suggestions in chat, so please feel free to message if you like any of these portfolios. There's actually another repo that I have been working or looking at. This is another repo that has some awesome profile readmes. I don't know about this one really. I feel like this one needs some improvements. All right, so we're not going to use this one. How to disable access denied. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Okay, so I mean, I'll take a quick look and pick one. I just want to find one that is simple, that is clean, that most people can use. Right? So that one is pretty cool. This one has a lot of blog and text information. This one is pretty unique. Simple but innovative. I have trouble pronouncing this word. Minimalistic. Okay, I think I got it. All right. So we'll look at a couple more examples here. Okay, so we do have one in chat. So let me pop it open and see. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's your personal GitHub profile. Let's take a look. Let me copy this. Okay. Not bad at all. I like it. GitHub stats, streak. Very nice. Very nice. Definitely something. There are definitely things we can borrow from. We'll borrow the stats and streak from your profile, Jeffrey. They're perfect. They're beautiful. Okay. And then we'll also, this is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to pick things that we like from various profile readmes so that we can make our own unique readme that reflects us. Okay, so I guess there are so many different people with different types of formats and styles for their readmes. The first thing I want to do then is to just go back to our repo and we'll get started, okay? So everybody go back to your profile repo and click on the pencil icon next to the readme.md file. Okay, I will look at yours as well. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, I like your profile view counter and a lot of these top languages that showcases your experience and your GitHub stats. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, so please go back to your profile and hit edit. Okay. So once you are in the edit mode, we can, edit away, right? So I can say, hi there, I am Wei. And if you want, you can follow a template that GitHub provides you. But for now, since I really love Jeffrey's streak status, which Emily also has, I'm going to steal it from him. All right. So let's just focus on this one. What I can do is I can go to his repo, his profile repo, and click on README and click on code. So we can see a preview, but we can also look at the code, the Markdown code behind it. And from here, we can see that he has a heading 2 called streak status. And under there, he uses a Markdown table to kind of separate out the stats and the streak information. So I like that. I'm going to copy it. So here's a link in case you're looking for it. Here's a link to the streak stats. I'm going to just copy this section and paste it into my README. Okay. So once you do that, we can go to preview and see that my README now has streak stats. All right. Let me know if you see the same thing. Here is I'm just going to highlight this link I shared earlier from Jeffrey. That includes the streak stats. And the way you get to the code is by pressing the code toggle on top. What does this mean? Can I explain stats and streak? Yes. So if you look at the images here, these two images, it shows Jeffrey's GitHub stats. So it shows how many stars he has earned in the past, how many commits he's done in this year, how many PRs. Basically, it showcases how active Jeffrey is on GitHub. And the streak section also tells us how many total contributions he's made, how many days he's been contributing continuously without a break. And it also shows a longer streak. So for 82 days last year, he did not rest. He was working on GitHub continuously every single day. Hope that helps. But it's showing somebody else's data. Yes, it is. So let's go ahead and change that. It is actually very easy to change it to your data. All you have to do is replace Jeffrey's GitHub username with your username. So my username is Wei. I'm going to replace that with Wei. Replace the username here with Wei. Replace this username with Wei. And you can replace the alternative text if you want. Wei's streaks. Right? And change this to Wei's GitHub status. Okay. So basically, you're replacing Jeffrey's information with your own. And then if you go to preview, you will see your own stats. So here you see Wei's GitHub stats and my streak. My streak stats is not very good, as you can see here. So pardon me, I should work on GitHub more. So just to remind you, all you have to do is change Jeffrey's GitHub username with your own inside the README edit mode, and your stats should show up momentarily. Okay. All right, you'll do a GitHub profile review session on your channel. Superb. Be sure to let us know. We'd love to see it. Okay, so that's the streak stats. All right. we get our GitHub stats and streak stats. Please drop a message in the chat if you're able to see your own stats show up. All right, and as we can see here, Emily's profile has some additional cards here. And if you'd like, you can go to her profile here and do the same thing. Look at the code, and you'll notice it's a similar URL format. It has a different style, right? And if we actually go to the website where the image is sourced from, you will see a lot more customization options. So you can change the color, you can change the theme, border, language, and more. Oh, they even have exclude days. Maybe if I exclude weekends, I'll get more days in streak. And here's the URL if you'd like to play around with this. GitHub README streak stats. This is also a open source GitHub project, so be sure to check it out. Okay, so we have a question. Is there a way to make the stats change with the user's theme? I have a dark background, but would like to show up on white when somebody don't have a dark background. There is a way to do it indeed, but it requires a little bit of a work. Maybe it's a good open source project to work on, actually. So the only way to do it that I know of is using CSS attributes within SVG. I'm going a little bit too advanced here, so don't worry about it if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. So what you can do is, in SVG, I actually have a project where I did this in. It's called Socialify, right? So you can start with a GitHub repo, for example, Weiwei, and I can remove the language. Yeah, so like this, right? I can show badges and things like that. So this is actually a SVG you can include in your own GitHub project or your GitHub README. And what I added is a theme feature called Auto, right? Auto will change the color based on users' browser theme settings, dark and light theme settings. And if you actually look at the SVG that is generated, here we'll look at the source of this. You will notice it's actually two SVGs stitched together. And when the card, in the card light mode, we're showing in light mode, we're showing the card light. And when there's a media query that says prefer color scheme dark, we hide the light and show the dark mode. So that's the only way I can think of how to do it. That would be a cool feature to have if they can automatically adapt to it. Hope that helps. Gotten a little bit too detailed. Okay, so we want to go into too much details, but now we have stats. All right, what else? What else do we need? We need some badges. I want some badges. All right, I like badges. So we'll just go to some of the top options that we've seen from this example repos. Maybe I like these icons. I like these icons, even though it's not in English. So I'm going to, okay, it looks like they've changed it a little bit into a table. I don't want a table right now, so we'll keep looking. We'll keep looking at some amazing badges. So maybe we'll borrow from this developer. Okay, so you see he has a text stack section with various languages, right, and tools that he uses. I'm going to go to the README file and code section. I also share this. And you can see under the tech stack section, he's using shields.io, which is the website I just showed. And what we're going to do is just copy this tech stack section to our profile. Okay. So I'm going to kind of delete some of the outdated tech stack and languages for now. And jQuery, I don't use it anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. PHP, I still do a little bit of PHP. I don't do code igniter. I used to do C# and Unity. I don't do them anymore. So I'm just going to remove them from my list. So basically what you have to do is to just kind of clean it up a little bit so that it shows up all the tech stacks that you're familiar with and you'd like to work with. And I'm just going to get rid of some of this line breaks just to make everything look good on a single line, maybe. I'll just, put everything on a single line. Maybe the tools can be on the second line, like GitHub. Okay. So I like that. All right, just came back with a proposal of collaboration on your channel. Yeah, feel free to open a ticket on the MLH Discord server, and we can chat there. Okay, great. So now we have the tech stacks. Right? We have tech stacks. What else do we need on our profile? What else do you like on the profile? I have so many tabs open, so I'm going to close some just to not confuse myself. Okay, we'll do one more thing. We will add a image. Let's add an image on the very top here. Okay, so we'll find a maybe a developer related themed image on the webs. Oh, so we have an example. Let's take a look. This is beautiful. Really showcases all the different technologies and socials. Wow, they have a lot of stuff here. Okay, amazing. So for now, I'm just going to grab, let me take a look actually in the source code. Okay, so if you look at the source code, I love this image on the very top, all right? I'm going to steal it. Very similar to before. I will paste the link. And it looks like the image is in here, right? It's generated using this API hosted on Vercel. So I'm going to copy it to my portfolio. And I'm actually going to change the text. So it says, hey, that's me, Adarsh. I'm going to say, hey, that's me, Wei. I need the registered trademark on there, of course. Perfect. And boom, I got it. I love it. Thanks for the suggestion. So I'm really showing you, what other people are doing and how easily you can grab their information, grab their code directly from their README and borrow them, right? Okay, so this is good enough for now. Does anybody have any questions? I will actually send a link to my source code right now. I will make a commit. Feel free to commit yourself. All right, update README. I'm just going to commit with the default commit message. And boom. So now if I go to my GitHub profile page, you'll see a cool banner on the top, my tech stack, and my streak stats. So please let me know if you see the same thing on yours. You don't have to have exact same components, but I just want to make sure you have something showing up when you go to your profile page. Please give me a +1 in chat if you're able to do something like this. Okay, great. Great. If you have any questions, please drop them in chat. I would love to help you out. And just for those of you who are interested to look at my repo so far, this is the link to the source code for the README that you just saw. I like how this gradient changes on every render, on every page load. It's very beautiful. Okay, so we have a question. Haven't changed anything. You don't need to change anything. Your profile is probably a lot better than mine, to be honest. But we'll show you some cool tricks at the end on things you can try out. All right, so how many commits needs to be needs to have an A or A+, annual basis or in total? I don't know the answer, but I recommend you check out this open source repository that is generating this graphic, and we can take a look at which one that is. So I think it's called GitHub README Stats, right? GitHub README Stats. There's a repository. And inside this repository, I recommend checking out the documentation to see exactly what they use to calculate that number or that letter. Hope that helps. Okay, how can we make our own gradient banner like that? So I borrowed it from Adarsh, right? But it looks like, if we look at the source code, it looks like it's using an open source API hosted on Vercel called Capsule Render. And if you, I guess it's not available. Okay, so we can Google it, Capsule Render. Okay, all right, perfect. Capsule Render, and you can use this open source project to decorate your GitHub profile or repos. And if you're asking like, how do they accomplish it behind the scenes? If I had to guess, they use SVG with CSS animations to make this happen. But yeah, feel free to explore more. Since everything's open source, you have access to all the source code. Yes. In the old days, people sometimes use GIF. I call it GIF anyways. But nowadays, SVG is with CSS animations. Keyframe animations are just so much easier and nicer and more fluid. Okay, so looks like everybody has access now, or has done their profile, and you should be able to see it when going to your own profile page. That's amazing. Okay. Let's go back to our slides. This is the exciting part. This is the most one of the most exciting parts of this workshop that I'm excited for, which is publishing your site. So you have a profile that shows up on GitHub, but what if you want other people to see it on the web, right? You're going to your own URL to see your portfolio, to see your projects, to see your GitHub stats and streaks. What you can do is using GitHub Pages. All right, so look at my screen closely. We will go to our repo, and we will go to settings. Okay, repo settings. Under settings, we will navigate to pages, GitHub Pages. GIF. I can convert to the GIF game for the rest of this session, if that helps retain your viewership. All right. So once you're on your GitHub Pages, or is it GitHub Pages? I don't know anymore. Okay. Once you're on this page, all you have to do is under Build and Deployment, click. Okay, sorry. Under Build and Deployment, click under Branch and pick Main. So this will tell GitHub Pages to use your main branch. So the contents in your main branch to publish your website. Okay. So all you have to do is click Main and hit Save. So let me know in chat once you've done that. So it should look exactly like this: main, root, save. GitHub, not GitHub. How do you know? It might be JIT. You're saying it wrong all this time. Yeah, so make sure you go to Settings, Pages, and GitHub Pages. All right. And all you have to do is wait a minute or so, and you can refresh this page. It doesn't matter what content you put on your README file, this will work perfectly. All right. So just trust me on this. Choose main and hit save. So after a minute, you can refresh the page. And what do we see here? Your site is live. All right. And GitHub actually gave you a link to access your page, right? So I can go to it directly. And here you can see my portfolio site, the README portfolio site. It has the banner, it has my tech stack, and it has my streak stats. So this URL will work on the web, right? You don't need GitHub for this. Anybody can go to this URL and see this portfolio site. Okay, it only takes a minute, right, for it to publish. So it's amazing. I really like it. And the best part, this is free. GitHub will host your website for free on their servers. You don't have to pay a dime. And now anytime you update your own portfolio README on GitHub, your website will automatically publish and update within a minute. So yeah, drop me a thumbs up in chat if you're able to turn on GitHub Pages on your repo. In the meantime, please drop any questions you have, or if you're stuck. Can GitHub also host interactive web applications? So GitHub Pages can host static sites. So if your website needs to interact with a backend server or a service, you cannot use GitHub to host the backend part of it. But you can always use it to host the front end static website part of your application. If your application uses like a dynamic backend, a third-party backend like Firebase, etc., or Cloud Functions, things like that, then you can host your static on GitHub and your dynamic parts on third-party services. Hope that helps. Okay, you beat me on that. Thank you for answering. All right, perfect. We'll check out your GitHub repo towards the end. I'm really excited to see what you have. Added more badges? Yes, definitely check out other people's badges. Check out shields.io, and you can add more badges. Can we link Contentful, and that way we can have interactive GitHub pages? I don't know what Contentful does. If you have some resources on that, please feel free to drop them in chat, and we can learn more about it. But you can use, I know there are static site generators which will pull content from a content repository like CMS and automatically generate a static site with the latest blog post, for example, and latest content, and post them on GitHub for free. Well, congratulations, published your page. Okay, so it looks like we have a few people who's done it. If you are stuck, please drop a message in the comment section. And let's go to our next slide. What is our next slide? Link your domain name. All right. So GitHub is hosting your portfolio site for free now, but it is a URL that's under github.io slash, for me, slash worker. It doesn't look very professional, right? It doesn't look very professional to me. So what you can do then is, if you have a domain name, you can link your domain name to it for free. All right. Too bad I don't have any codes to give at this GHW. But if you are a student, you can always register for the GitHub Student Pack and receive a couple free domain names from there. For the purpose of my demo, I'm going to use a domain I registered from earlier this year when I did my other session called, or the domain name is called wayonstream.co. So that is a domain I'm going to use for my portfolio site. But if you don't have one, don't worry. You don't have to do this step right now. Once you register a domain name, you can then follow along. All right. You can do it after the session. And I'm sure if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in on Discord afterwards. We can help you out. So this is going to be the domain name I use for my portfolio site. Okay. It's actually rather simple. Under Settings, Pages, Custom Domain, you can see here's the input that lets you input your custom domain. So I can put in wayonstream.co, right? And then for just for simplicity, I'm going to do www. All right. This actually makes things a little bit easier. So www.wayonstream.co. And if we look at, let's look at the Learn More here. GitHub has a documentation section just for this. So let's go to About Custom Domains. Okay, so GitHub supports custom domains. www subdomains. And I won't read through all this documentation. But the idea here is to create a CNAME record that points to username.github.io. So that's what I need to do. Okay. And I will step through this in Porkbun, which is where I registered my domain name. I can go to DNS, and I need to create a CNAME record, www.wayonstream.co, and it's going to point to username.github.io. So in this case, my username is worker. So make sure you replace this with your GitHub username. And that's it. I don't need to update anything else. So if you have a domain name, if you have a subdomain you'd like to use, you can swap this www with anything you'd like, or if you just want to use your wayonstream.co, the root apex domain they call it, you can also do that. Follow the guide under this GitHub documentation site. So for now, I am going to hit add here. Okay. So it is added. I can double check by scrolling down, and you can see that I now have, ignore all the other ones from my previous sessions, but now you can see a CNAME record pointing www to worker.github.io. Different domain registries and DNS management screens may be different, but the logistics is the same. You need to create a CNAME record. Okay, so we have a question here. Recruiters, question is, these attached over GitHub pages are important for recruiters, or commit repo contents are main focus. Not necessarily more important than your resume, but it's definitely definitely catches their eyes if you have a nice GitHub profile. A lot of recruiters and technical interviewers will look at your GitHub before an interview to get a better idea of who you are, what you work on, etc. So having a GitHub, having a GitHub profile portfolio README page is definitely a plus. Hope that helps. Okay, so with that, I'm going to put www.wayonstream.co under the custom domain section under settings pages and hit save. All right. So since we've already added the DNS records, we just need to, okay, that's not good. Not served by pages error. Okay. I hope it's not a problem with the domain suffix. Okay. In the meantime, let's answer this question. It says enforce HTTPS, but if my domain doesn't have an HTTPS domain, will it still work? Yes, it will still work. So a lot of times when you're hosting a website yourself, you have to issue the HTTPS certificates for your website to be served over HTTPS. But GitHub does it for you, right? So as long as you're pointing the DNS domain correctly to them, they will handle issuing the certificate, and they will handle serving your website using under that certificate. Hope that helps. Yes. Managing HTTPS is definitely one of the pain points, which is why a lot of these developer-centric platforms take care of this for you. Okay, so I don't know why this is saying this, so let's refresh one more time. DNS check in progress, improperly configured. That's not good. That's not good. Did I spell it wrong or something? Not served by pages error. Okay, I think the reason it didn't work is because for www, they also require another domain or another record. Yeah. I think for www, they require another record to be set on your root domain, and this is the A record. And let me just add that real quick. So they actually have on Porkbun, they actually have a alias record, which GitHub supports. I won't go into too much detail, but if your DNS provider do not have an alias record or a name record type, you need to create 4 A records like follows. Just read their documentation. But for Porkbun, they do. So I'm going to do that. Worker.github.io. Add. Okay, so now I have a alias record on my Apex domain. Apex meaning there's not a second level, it's the first level domain. And a www record, that is the CNAME. Okay, I hope that does it. So let's go back and click check again. Okay, great. Its check is in progress. I'm fingers crossed. DNS check successful. Beautiful. All right. So this means I've set up the DNS records correctly, and I can actually turn on enforce HTTPS so that people can access my website through HTTPS. Okay, so it's giving me a X. Okay, as you can see here, the certificates is being provisioned. It might take 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, the website will automatically be served under HTTPS. So we'll just wait a couple minutes here while we answer some questions. Okay. How do we add Spotify Discord battery percentage? Yes. Yes, there are some amazing open source projects that help you do exactly all the things that you want to do. And I will share with you, I think it's in the next couple slides. Next slide, I will share that with you, okay? So it is asking for attaching a verified domain on my profile. Add my domain. Yeah, if you could share a screenshot on Discord, we'll be more than happy to take a look. But the key here is to first create your CNAME and A records on your domain DNS manager, and then come back to the GitHub pages to add your domain. Okay. All right. It says step 3 of 3. So let's refresh it. Just double check the status of my domain. Enforce. Okay. Enforce HTTPS check mark. I like it. How to verify your root domain. So please follow the documentation page when you click learn more here next to custom domain. So the way you verify the root domain is you need to either add an alias record like I did. So alias, this is a root domain, and it points to your username.github.io. If your domain manager, DNS manager does not support alias, then you need to add 4 A records. All right, so you can follow this guide, step 5 here, to add 4 A records to your DNS manager, and that will essentially point your domain over to GitHub. Okay, so with that, let's go to our website. So www.wayonstream.co. I'm very excited to see if it works. Boom. Beautiful. All right. So now you can see my website is now accessible at www.wayonstream.co. And I have the lock, which means it's fully secured over HTTPS. And I can see my stats, streak, and my tech stack. So I know this is an optional step. So yeah, feel free to drop me a message in chat if you did it or if you understood what to do when it comes times to link your own domain name. Okay. All right, like before, I'm going to close some tabs just so it's not so crowded up there. Close some tabs here. Okay, cool. Understood. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, so we're going to go into some more like advanced capabilities of this, right? I call it self-updating READMEs, okay? So basically, your README, your profile portfolio wouldn't be static all the time. It needs to update from time to time. So for example, we are actually already updating them by using these stats images, right? So anytime people loads up your stats, it's actually the latest stats. When people load your website, it's actually showing the latest streak, right? So it's all showing you the latest information. But what are some other capabilities that you can have here? And one of the tools or repos with a lot of that information is this one called Awesome GitHub README Profile. All right, feel free to go to it and take a look while I answer this question. So readme.md and your GitHub page, two different things. All right, so readme.me is a file. It is a file hosted under your repository, right? So for me, it's under the worker repository. And Pages publishes that README to a website. So now you can see like you're viewing README within GitHub. But now if you go to my website, you're actually viewing the contents of the README as a website. So anytime you update your profile README, your website will update automatically. So this makes managing your website so much easier. Hope that helps. How do I find the Flutter badge? So let's go to shields.io and take a look and see if they have something like this. Flutter. Maybe not. Dynamic JSON badge. Okay, so if you look at the dynamic JSON badge or static badge, there's a field called logo, and it uses simple icons, right? So you need to go to simple icons and find the Flutter logo, and then you can use it within your badge. Hope that helps. So yeah, it says you can have multiple pages, so we can attach different domains to each page. Yeah, so there are a couple ways to do it. You can only connect one domain to each repo. So for the worker repo, my worker repo, profile repo, you can only attach one domain name to it. But you can have multiple pages under that domain name. So for example, I have www.wayonstream.co, but maybe I can have a /contact, right? I can have a contact page. Or I can have, I don't know, portfolio. /portfolio, and those pages, those routes can go to different Markdown files, right? README is the default one, but you can have additional pages, if that makes sense. Hello, Ting Ting, welcome. Yeah, so this workshop, we're learning about how to create a GitHub user portfolio using GitHub Pages to publish a website of your portfolio and showcase it to the world. Yeah, subdomains for different projects, exactly. So if you have a project 1, project 2, they can all have separate GitHub Pages subdomains linked to your different subdomains on your root domain, if that makes sense. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go down this list and just show you some of the things that are that people are using or created for GitHub page or for the portfolio READMEs, right? So let's go to tools actually, and here is a amazing list of some awesome resources to add to your portfolio. For example, visitor count. Okay, this is 404, so we won't look at that. For example, I don't know, portfolio or profile activity generator. Okay, so we can look at the website and see what it does. You can generate a portfolio activity for your profile README. Okay, click on them to darken the colors. Okay, that's interesting. So you can use it to like write a letter or write a word or something to make it stand out. And that's pretty cool. Dynamic profile page on GitHub. This looks very interesting. So let's see what it does. You can see an example. Okay. So using GitHub Actions, you will see a list. Looks like he maybe have taken it away, but using GitHub Actions, it's going to create a list of commits, recent commits, and showcase those directly on your profile, which is pretty interesting. LinkedIn, you can generate a LinkedIn. All right, dynamic generate image from your LinkedIn profile to include in your GitHub READMEs. Right, that's very interesting. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you some of the capabilities or some of the projects that people have created. This one is interesting. You can create, you can include a random meme on your profile README and quotes. So let's take a look at what this does. Okay, so add the developer quote to your site. I like it. I'm gonna just, as an example, pop it into my README so that you can see. All right, I'll put it right here. Okay, and I will center it. And the way you center it is using this feature or using this. Similar to what we did on the top, you can use a P with align center with the image tag underneath. It's not the prettiest, but that is how GitHub does it. So we'll do this. Basically, P with the center tag, and that will give us the image. Hold on, let me fix this URL. I messed up, so I will paste. and there. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to commit this for now and go back to our comments and see if you have any other questions. Resources and reference links, I will share them towards the end of the session. I'll share the slides and all the links that we used. Can we get the link of this page? Can you just elaborate like which, oh, this, the resources page, like this one? I will share that with you right now. Okay, we're just catching up on chat. There's a lot of messages. Thank you, Armin, for posting some of those links. Okay, great. All right, perfect. All right, cool. So now if you look at my profile again on GitHub, you will see a programmer quote, right? And here's the magic. This is my website. And if I refresh on my website, you will see that it updated automatically with what I have published to my portfolio or profile README, right? That is what I love the most. This saves me so much time and effort of maintaining a whole different portfolio website, right? All I have to do is to make sure my GitHub profile is on the up and up, and everybody in the world can look at my website. And that is basically a copy of my GitHub profile README. All right. Let's jump into Q&A. I know all of you have been asking questions throughout the session, so I really appreciate it. If you have any questions right now, or if you're stuck on anything, this is a perfect time to drop them in chat. Also, I'd love to see some of your profile READMEs, right? Some of the ones that you created before this session, maybe something that you did during the session with me. I'd love to see them. So please drop them in chat once again, and love to take a look. Okay, we'll look at this one. Thanks for posting. I like the banner. Very good. Thanks for adding the tech stack and yeah, adding the badges. So yeah, shields.io has multiple styles of badges. So they have the flat, and they have the rounded, and they have dark light themes, etc. So feel free to experiment, see which one you like the best, and pop them on there. A lot of commits this year, Armin. This is stellar work. I like it. And yeah, we've seen a couple profiles from before. We'll just take a look at them again. We have we have this one from an MLS coach, Darsh, and that's the one I stole the banner from. I really enjoy the GIF. This is likely a GIF. Sorry, and it looks like they also have a HoloPins board, which is very interesting. If you are participating in Hacktoberfest last year, this is when they introduced the HoloPin. I'm so excited that MLH is partnering with DigitalOcean's Hacktoberfest. I'm looking forward to seeing some unique pins this year to showcase on my profile. So you can also customize the colors in stats and streaks. Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that. Thank you so much for mentioning that. The projects that we used for, here, let's just open it up in code mode so that everybody has access to it. Okay, so for the stats, the URL is GitHub README stats.versal.app. And for the streaks, it's GitHub README streaks-stars.versal.app. So on those, oh, it's on Heroku actually. So this one is hosted on Heroku. Cool. Yeah, so here you can choose a lot of various options as we showed before. And I recommend taking off Sunday and Saturdays from your streak so that, you're not supposed to work on weekends, really. So I'm going to take that off and see how long your streak is. Okay, yes, Jeffrey, I thank you so much for posting it. I really liked your profile, which is why we borrowed from it. And we'll take a look at it one more time with everybody. Here's the link. Oh, nice. I like it. Thanks for adding that. Fun facts and metrics. Yeah, a lot of good information. One thing I do recommend is adding some emojis, or I don't know your style, but maybe separating out this section a little bit more so it's easier to read. But overall, I really like how you used headings to separate out various sections, your social icons. Maybe you can convert this one, profile views, to match the styles of the other ones. Yeah, the fun facts. I've never seen this card before. This looks slick. I like it. Perfect. There's a tool called GitHub README Maker too. Yes, I've seen that before. If you have it, please drop a link in the chat. I'm sure it will help a lot of folks. Queen, Quine. I don't know what that is. I'm curious now. So let's go into it and see what it looks like. That's queen.sh. Is that the website? Oh, nice. Okay. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing. I'll check it out. Okay, thanks for sharing that profile README generator. This will really help with styling it and making it look amazing. Perfect. Thanks for sharing. All right. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. So thanks everybody so much for coming. Today you learned about some basics of Markdown. You learned about how to create a GitHub profile repo. You learned about how to publish your portfolio to a web page using GitHub Pages, how to link your custom domain to it. And you learned about some advanced techniques and different things that other people have created to use within your profile READMEs. Hope that session was helpful. With this, I'm so glad that I hope you're now confident to showcase your skills and accomplishments in a way that is very, very professional and visually appealing, with recruiters and everybody looking at your profile. It will really shine and stun their eyes, right? Make a lasting impression. That's what I want to call it, right? So do your best. Work on your portfolio a little bit. Link your domain name. Make it so much easier to manage and control your professional presence. All right. Here are some resources that I have shared before. It's a little bit small, but there are additional links that you can find from within the session I have pinned. And quick question here I want to answer: how to connect with me on Discord. You can open a ticket with me, or open a ticket and you can tag me. I'll give you the permission to tag me and we can continue the conversation there. And if anybody have any questions, please feel free to drop them on Discord and I would be happy to help you out. All right, so I just changed the banner below as well as in this slide. Thank you so much for coming. Next up is build your own UI component library with UT. If you're interested in front-end web development, this will be an amazing session. It's actually a series of sessions where UT is going to show you exactly how UI component libraries are built and how you can utilize them within your projects. All right, and I will share the Google Doc link as requested. But with that, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I am so glad you made it, and we will see you next Global Hack Week. Take care.